We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This comes from the Declaration of Independence, made in 1776 by a group of people who adopted the philosophies of earlier European intellectuals. Familiarity with these earlier Enlightenment values is important in understanding culture even today. In that time, leading intellectuals rejected long-standing values on religion and offered new views on humanity and society. However, these philosophical paradigms of humankind weren't always so all-encompassing. After learning of and seeing firsthand the influences of Enlightenment ideals on modern Western society, it seems important to me that people know why modern nations are structured the way they are. Modern history traces back to the Enlightenment, the universal truths of the 18th century that laid the foundations of American ideology first began as debates between intellectuals on the psychology of the human mind, particularly debates concerning the mind-body problem and human nature. We'll be discussing what these debates were, what they accomplished, and how they impact contemporary politics. Enlightenment thought is usually portrayed as continuous and harmonious. However, conflicts occurred frequently between leading 18th century thinkers that led to such revolutionary ideas, such as the mind-body problem. The mind-body problem discusses the relationship between our mind and our body. There are three key figures in the debate. Our first is Pierre Gassendi. Pierre Gassendi was a French mathematician and priest who advocated for the doctrine of the soul, essentially Christian philosophy. According to Gassendi, humanity rests in the soul, and the body is nothing more than a vessel for the soul to traverse the world through. On the opposite end of the spectrum is Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes took on the values of physical monism. He denied the existence of a non-material mind and argued, according to the principles of Euclid and Galileo, that all that exists is matter, all that is knowable is matter, and therefore all that is matter. Then comes an intermediary, René Descartes. René Descartes pioneered Cartesian dualism, the principle that the mind and body are two separate entities, but coexist interdependently, some would say mutualistically. He attempts to reconcile Enlightenment thought with religion and continues that the mind and the body cannot exist without each other. Without a body, there's no mind. Without a mind, there's no body. Our next key debate is that of human nature, a manifestation of the long-standing nature versus nurture debate. Again, René Descartes essentially fulfills the role of compromise between religion and rationale here. To him, some human functions and actions are innate, held from birth. We describe these today as instinct or reflex. Then comes John Locke, an English philosopher who pioneers the idea of strict empiricism. He advocates for tabula rasa, the blank slate. According to him, everything arises from experience. Everything we know, everything we are, comes from our interactions with the world around us. An important doctrine that we'll see come into play soon. So then came the universal philosophical ideas that manifested as a result of these debates, soon adopted by the founding fathers of America. We return to the mind-body problem. Thomas Hobbes takes a naturalistic and deterministic perspective that we are all products of solely matter and motion, that if left to our own desires, humankind would eventually and inevitably devolve into mindless savagery, a term he coins the state of nature. This, Hobbes argues, results in people coming together and entering a social contract where, in exchange for control and power that could be conditionally taken away, a designated authority would protect the state of society. The power of the authority rests on an idea known as the consent of the governed, providing the moral and philosophical basis by which the American Revolution began. We also return to the debate on human nature. John Locke's tabula rasa denies the existence of innate differences between different people. He argues that because of this, every person is born equal and thus with equal unremovable rights. So here arises the idea of natural rights. Everyone is entitled to life, everyone is entitled to liberty, and everyone is entitled to property. Sentiments later echoed by the Declaration of Independence. So the mind-body problem and human nature, two debates among 18th century thinkers that became the embodying rationale of the Age of Enlightenment, and not long after their emerges within the academic world, becoming the founding principles of the American nation. The philosophies of the social contract and national rights did not begin as all-encompassing universal principles of truth. They began as key discourse concerning the potency of the individual before becoming cemented in history through their inductions into rationalizing the state of society. These two principles remain firmly established within the nature of American democracy, even today. Even today. And to analyze the world today, it is important to understand the secrets of its past. A nation cannot march boldly into its future without first looking over its shoulder to its past.